Water is our most precious resource, and in some places around the state, that crystal clear, pure water flows out of the ground from cave-like springs at a constant temperature, 72 degrees year-round.
Millions of years of rainfall has filled our aquifer with fresh water. Gilchrist Blue was my favorite because that's the spring that I grew up going to.
As swimmers enjoy Gilchrist, Zoe Hendrickson and other members of the Florida Springs Institute study changes in the vegetation both on the land and under the water.
We provide the public with information about the springs, both data we collect ourselves and from the state, and answer any questions that they might have about springs health or ecology.
And the springs health is what worries Robert Knight of the Florida Springs Institute.
The springs are important as a bellwether of what's coming. So if the springs aren't healthy, either due to reduced flow or increased pollution, that means our drinking water is in trouble.
Reduced flow comes from pumping too much water from the underground aquifer, which runs under most of Florida. A 2015 federal government report said the total amount of water withdrawn in Florida was 15.3 billion gallons a day, and for the first time ever that year, household consumption was greater than agricultural use.
The biggest problem is the springs have lost about a third of their flow as of 2010. That is a lot. If a human lost a third of their water, they'd be dead.
Nitrates from fertilizer and septic tanks are another problem harming the crystal clear springs.
It stimulates growth of algae, so it reduces the productivity of the springs.
It hasn't always been this way. Before visitors flocked to Disney World, they went to the springs. There are more than 1,000 springs in Florida, the largest collection of freshwater springs on the planet.
Nearly 2 million tourists a year visit Silver Springs to observe the panorama of submerged beauty through the crystal clear water.
An economic impact study from 2002 showed that visitors spent an estimated $67 million at the 4 largest springs in Florida. Before the pandemic, the High Springs area near Gainesville, which boasts 3 major springs, saw more than 1 million tourists a year. 10 minutes away from High Springs is Rum Island Springs County Park. Marilee Malowitz-Gibson raised her kids here.
And every day we used to come to the spring, no matter what. Rain, shine, winter, summer, didn't matter. And it's just been our greatest time of our life was at Rum Island Spring.
She's mad because about a mile downriver, almost 1 million gallons of water a day are permitted to be pumped out of the ground for bottled water.
So we know they're taking it directly out of the source. So I do believe what we'll see over time that these springs will definitely be impacted. When we have minor high floods, minor ones, they'll be infiltrating these springs because those springs will not be flowing as strong as they used to be flowing.
In 2018, the state recognized the importance of the spring system by spending $50 million for projects designed to help protect the endangered waters. But the Florida Springs Institute says that's not enough. The nonprofit is proposing a giant new national park, which would provide more protection to 50 springs north and west of Orlando. Ultimately, Robert Knight believes we must do more and pump less fresh water from the ground.
Urban irrigation outdoors is about 1/4 of the total groundwater use in Florida, and that's a ridiculous use of water. A lot of the world has cisterns, and they capture the water that falls on the roof of their houses and store it in a tank, and that's what they use for their daily needs. And we could do that in Florida very easily.
Knight says that would ease public demand for fresh water, reduce overpumping, curb algae growth, and help restore the springs for future generations.
They're really a priceless cultural heritage that we inherited from the people that lived here before us, and we're not taking very good care of them.